Okay, folks, we're back with more breaking news because KSI has announced his next opponent, and it is someone that was supposed to be a previous opponent. If you don't know, I'm referring to the man that told Logan Paul to...
Why are you so excited about that win, Tommy?
Defend your Logan, bro.
Why are you so excited?
I'm referring to the man that stutters in the words that he utters. I mean the man that was once considered a jiu-jitsu god, now referred to as somewhat of a fraud. I don't believe that. That's just what the streets are saying. Dillon Danis is back in influencer boxing, and he's fighting KSI on March 29th. How did this happen? Like, how did this happen? I have no idea. So let's get into how we even got here, why this fight is even happening, and what the fight means for KSI, for Dillon Danis, for influencer boxing, and most importantly, why people are not happy. Oh boy, this is gonna be a fun one. The breakdown. Let's go. All right, so like I said, here is the poster. It is announced today, and honestly, this might be the best thing about the entire fight so far. This poster is awesome. Shouts to Alex Lord, the man that does graphics, not only it seems for Misfits, but also Happy Punch. Killed it with this poster. The Scarface theme does have some elements of the Jake Paul Anderson Silva fight, which, if we're talking about comparisons, I want you to keep in your mind, because that is a big part of the reason people do not like this fight. But here it is, KSI, Dillon Danis, unfinished business. You guys remember, all the way back in 2023, KSI and Dillon Danis were supposed to fight. This fight was supposed to happen. And this is where I'd like to take a little stroll down memory lane, a time where things were better in influencer boxing and everyone got along. And hey, look at that guy. Who is that? A tall, handsome individual with a beautiful fade and fly-ass Christmas-looking sweater in the middle of November, standing next to one Dillon Danis. Oh, right, that's me when I was on Misfits as a broadcaster. Fun times, fun times. You guys remember this was the introduction to Dillon Danis and KSI, the moment we figured out and learned that this was to be the next fight. Again, it was 2 years ago, before Dillon Danis lost to Logan Paul in pretty unceremonious fashion, but let's take a look anyway.
How you doing? Look, it's home.
No, I'm excited.
Man, I'm excited. You can sign the contract right now. Pussy, stop.
Yeah.
Let me choke you out right here.
No, you don't.
I forgot that KSI, we were in Texas. We were in Austin. I forgot he came out in his cowboy gear on. Freaking Mike Hand. Look at my boy Ade Oladipo. We were in there.
Mike can knock you out.
Yeah, let's do it right now.
What, right now?
Let's not do that right now.
A little slap.
Yeah, no more. Let's do it.
Now, my pops, Papa Plem, did not appreciate me taking this coffee off of the face. Dome, and then a collateral off KSI's head as well. You would have thought that Dillon Danis potentially played Call of Duty back in the day with a collateral like that. But I've since have learned from Dillon himself that I was not the target that was meant for this coffee, so all amends are made there, but what a time. Chaos reigns.
Get off the building. On the building.
Get off of me. And here he goes, flying through the people. Forgot Shannon Briggs was there. That's what I like. Let's go, champ.
Let's go,
So yeah, that was the start of this beef, this announcement, this rivalry where KSI was going to fight Dillon Danis. And that same Saturday night, by the way, who is that? Striking, handsome gentleman right there. But as everyone remembers, this is where both gentlemen showed their promo skills and what can only be described as Tito Ortiz level CTE.
Hey, yo, best believe, January 14th, you're finished. You're finished. I am the nightmare. KSI. You don't want to fuck with me. You don't want to fuck with me. Look at me in my eyes. Look at me in my eyes, bro. Look at me. No one trains as hard as me. No one is as good as me. When it comes to this, the YouTube scene, bro, it's all me. It's all me. You'll see, bro. You'll see. Watch, bro. We'll see. We'll see who's soft, bro. We'll see who's soft, bro. Good luck, bro.
I'm sorry, I have no words. I would do better reacting, but I just have no words. Dillon is a mush mouth. I'm pretty sure he was blasted drunk this night, and KSI is doing a freaking anime promo. He said, "The nightmare, KSI." So yeah, you could probably expect more of this, which, to be honest, it's the circus, but I embrace it because I understand what this is, and I understand what misfit side of influencer boxing is. And this is why I think my opinion of this fight is going to be a little different from everybody else's. Everyone right now is comparing this fight to Jake Paul and what Jake Paul potentially may have going on with Canelo Alvarez. That's still rumored to be out there. And also just the trajectories of KSI and Jake Paul. I don't do that. I've never done that. People have gotten upset at me for not doing that and saying what is the explicit truth right now, that they are on completely separate planes. They're on different levels. They are not doing the same things. It's not even close. And I've said that for a very long time and gotten a lot of heat for it, but this proves it. But again, I don't blame you all for making the comparison. I don't blame you all for playing team sports, because that's what fans do, especially when those same fans are told explicitly, multiple times, continuously, to compare the two of them through one side or the other, making fun or taking the piss out of the other's opponent selection, or that they're ducking and dodging. And in this case, it's been Team KSI that has looked over across the aisle and said Jake Paul's opponents are old men, they're MMA fighters, they are old MMA fighters, they're retired, this, that. And yet, when it comes down to nut cutting time, KSI's opponents right now, years after he started this boxing thing, was gonna be an old retired soccer player, and now is going to be Dillon Danis, who already lost to Logan Paul on KSI's undercard in his first boxing match and didn't look great. And again, while I'm not doing the comparisons here, and I don't have as big a problem with this fight as everyone else for reasons I'll explain in a second, the internet lives forever. So if you're going to be honest about the situation and hold people's feet to the fire and rightfully put criticism toward KSI and his team for making this fight because of the words they've used in the past, we do have to look at the examples, which are the following.
First of all, let's not get it twisted. Temper is better than Dillon Danis. He's a better opponent. So it's not like I'm coming here to be like, oh, I'm fighting someone worse. I'm fighting someone who is better, in the ring and will be a big threat to me.
This was KSI's pre-fight interview before fighting FaZe Temper. He's calling Temper at that time better than Dillon Danis because Dillon Danis pulled out of the fight. And again, I don't blame KSI for making that assumption here, and even fighting Temper, that was one of those situations where you had to rely on Dillon Danis and it didn't work out. But these words now kind of do come back to haunt you if you are constantly saying you want to up the levels and pointing the finger and again doing the comparisons to Jake Paul and his career. You fight the guy who was worse, in your words, than the guy you knocked out in a couple of rounds after the guy you said was worse lost to Logan Paul. That doesn't really add up. And then you have examples like this.
Danis still thinks he has a chance to fight me 6 months down the line. Dildo. Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. Fuck yourself. You are a pointless stain on this earth. Fuck yourself. Fuck yourself. Get fucked, you twat, you dickhead. Everyone now knows what you are. Bitch mate, you're a bitch, and you will never get this opportunity ever again.
Putting the poster at the end of this edit is diabolical. So again, you're seeing this is a fan-made video. The fan reception to this is not great. And it's because of the way that the fans view KSI, because he and his team have kind of told them to view him that way. And the way that he carries himself in this scene, calling himself the best, saying he's going to beat Jake Paul, in the way that he calls Jake Paul's opponents frauds and phonies and old men and pensioners and not up to snuff. You can't do that and then expect people to then get on board wholeheartedly when they expect you to do something the opposite of the thing you criticize Jake Paul for doing, or in your words, wouldn't do, that Jake Paul has done or will do. Especially when Jake Paul, again, you may not like this, is upping the levels of what he's doing in his opponent selection and the risks he's potentially willing to take if this Canelo fight is true. If Jake and Canelo is official and KSI is coming back to fight Dillon Danis, again, I don't care. The comparisons to me make no sense. I don't value these comparisons because they shouldn't be compared. They're not in the same lane at all. But if you do compare them and you want to take that road, the comparison comes out like a wet fart, which is kind of what people are doing all over this announcement. Now, why do I think differently from the online sphere? And I'll go to my tweet here to show you guys what I mean. I said, folks, hide your coffee and defend your Logan brother. They're running it back. And then I went on to clarify and say, listen, as far as the fight is concerned, listen, KSI is coming off an 18th-month break. He's not a retired soccer player, and there is some history here that will make this fight build fun, so I don't mind it. But there is one massive issue that can't happen under any circumstance. Janine said, Wade, come on, really? Every fight this man has been a warm-up fight other than Tommy. This is Jake's Ben Askren fight. By the way, I agree. This is a Jake Ben Askren fight. He needs to either knock Dillon out or start taking challenging fights. This is getting annoying that they talk about Jake, then do this, which I agree with the entire statement. But here is the caveat. I respond, I think this is where you all get confused. I don't look at them on the same level. I see Jake beyond KSI's level, so the parameters I use to judge their fights are different. This is why people get confused and kind of frustrated with me, is because I don't look at Jake and KSI as having the same goal, having the same mindset, or having the same commitment to what they are doing in the sport of boxing. Therefore, how am I supposed to judge them on the same thing? Just because Mams and KSI and Team Misfits points the finger and says, aha, Jake's fighting this guy, we would never, and then kind of do that, even in the second attempt here. Or when Jake's team look at KSI and say, he's just entertainment, they're not doing, I don't do the comparisons that way either. I look at them as separate entities. Jake is fully into boxing. He has fully immersed himself in the sport. He is training damn near every day. He's fighting 2 to 3 times a year, and he's upping the level of risk, reward, opportunity, all of that as he builds his skill through continuously fighting. Whereas JJ has multiple things that he does outside of boxing. I mean, the guy just took 18 months off the sport. Jake hasn't done that since he committed to the sport. You're seeing JJ doing Sidemen Sunday, and he's doing the music. I think Pkwy just trolled its way to 100 million views on YouTube. He has his own videos. He's got his Prime. There's other things he's doing, and by the way, that's okay. In fact, that's probably more lucrative for him because he's not getting punched in the face. He's not taking time out to go and spar and train twice a day. He's locked in to his videos and to his content creation. But that's why you can't compare the two. That's why Jake is making leaps and bounds more successful ventures and getting better as a boxer in boxing, because he's dedicated more to it. Plain and simple, this is the same thing that I have told you guys for years and years and years as to why I would favor Jake in a fight, is because he dedicates time to the sport that JJ will not. And it's proven in a couple different ways. One, what I just told you, that JJ's got other ventures and he's exploring those and then coming back to boxing. But two, it's the fact that they picked Dillon Danis as the opponent. I want you to ask yourselves why you think that is. I'll give you the answer. Pause the video if you need to. Take 30 seconds. Take a deep breath. It's gonna be okay. Because if you put JJ in there with Darren Till, or Tommy Fury in a rematch, or Anthony Pettis, or any of these guys that I as a fan would have liked to see, that you as a fan really wanted, he will lose right now. And I'm sorry to say that, but it's the truth. And I don't just think that. His own team has to think that, because I think if they believed that JJ really would win, and he was not going to be an underdog in those fights, they would have made him. Because the risk and reward is something that JJ thrives on. The risk it for the biscuit, the thing that makes him who he is. If they felt he would win, they would make the fight. And the fact that they've made this fight with Dillon Danis tells me that they don't know how committed JJ is to this right now. And as much as we want to sit there and point the finger at London shoot fighters, maybe that's the case, that, you know, what Leon said is they're protecting the bag, but sometimes you got to protect your fighter. And if JJ's not committed, if he's not in the gym training every day, pushing himself to be on the level to compete with a Darren Till, who is a fighter's fighter, who trains every day, that does not have sidemen and does not have these outside ventures distracting him, or just replace Darren with somebody else, Tommy Fury, Anthony Pettis, Jake Paul, Tyron Woodley, whoever, the risk of running that fight while your fighter is not prepared is not worth putting them in there. You can say that that's them being scared of letting JJ cook, and that may be true. But the way I look at it is this falls squarely on the plate of KSI. And again, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, because I'm not mad at the fight. If he's not as committed, he shouldn't be looking to fight guys that are as committed. If he is looking for a way to get himself back into things, Dillon Danis kind of is that guy. But Dillon Danis is a guy that's not a great striker, is that confidence boost, and maybe that little piece of the puzzle that's missing right now for him to recommit to the sport of boxing. It's a confidence thing. If it is a, do I still want to do this? I need to get in there and figure it out thing. I don't know. But my point is, we blame a lot of JJ's career missteps and all that on Mams, on London Shoot, and sometimes rightfully so. In this case, I don't know, because there is sometimes, especially in the position of KSI, who is Misfits CEO, who is the fighter, the guy that leads this whole thing. He is the person that, whether he wins or loses, dictates how business on the entire platform goes. He has to make that decision on what it is he wants to do. Does he want to do YouTube and Sidemen and music, or does he want to fight? Because that's the level of commitment it is going to take to make up the ground that he is losing by taking time off. And that's the most true way I can say. And again, I'll reiterate this. There is no need to compare KSI to Jake other than KSI himself doing it. He should stop that. If he's not going to commit in the way that he needs to build himself back to that position, he should probably stop, because you can't talk that talk unless you're willing to walk the walk. Again, not saying JJ isn't. All I mean is, you have to do it. But then there's that little piece at the end of my message that I wanted to talk about, where I said there is one massive issue that can't happen under any circumstance. And that's where I want to talk about the X's and O's of this fight. What is the massive issue with this fight? Well, the biggest one is that Dillon Danis has already been on Misfits' platform and then pulled out, which does give you a reason to be like, is he even going to show up? We've had many issues with KSI opponents pulling out, and then obviously the Wayne Bridge thing as well. You don't want to have that kind of circus once again and have to, God forbid, knock on wood, cancel an event, something like that. I don't think Dillon Danis is going to pull out. I think he absolutely needs this fight. I think after the Logan Paul performance, I think because Logan and Nina are still suing him, that has to be ungodly amounts of money. There's a variety of reasons why Dillon Danis has a vested interest in staying locked into this fight. Performance-wise, we all saw the Dillon Danis-Logan Paul fight, and it was not a great look for Dillon Danis. He was in there clearly not to get knocked out versus trying to win the fight. Again, you can call me an optimist. I'm hoping that's not the level of Dillon Danis we get for this one. And I'm not saying Dillon can box, because I haven't seen any evidence that that's the case. But at least going out there and trying is better than what we've seen in the past. But also, it's where the issue lies for KSI, because this fight is the comeback fight after you've lost to Tommy Fury, after you've said that you're recommitted to this sport, that you're not going to leave it to the judges, and that you're trying to make this arc back to Jake Paul. KSI's words, again, I don't like the comparison. But if that's the case, the only way for KSI to come out of this fight smelling like roses and looking like a monster is to knock Dillon Danis out. A guy who was very good at not getting knocked out, who has a good chin. I know that the fight with Logan Paul wasn't aesthetically pleasing for anyone, but Logan hit him with big shots through the guard. If you go back and watch that fight, he was flurrying on him, albeit flailing about and looking like he was midway between seizures. He was throwing some hammers. Logan's still a big, strong, quick, powerful guy, and Dillon was able to eat a lot of those punches. So for KSI at a lower weight to be able to knock Dillon out would be a bit of a boost to get him back into that mindset of, okay, I'm back, committed to doing this. And also, it's kind of the only way you look good in a fight with Dillon Danis. And if he doesn't do that, then we might have some big issues, because you go back to the Prime card and you look at how that kind of deflated influencer boxing for really a full year there. It's because of the performances in that co-main and main event. Remember, the Dean the Great fight, amazing. We got to Logan and Dillon, and the whole kerfuffle and people running into the ring. The build-up was great, but the performances were not. So you have to be able to pay off this build-up. And I'm telling you guys right now, the build-up will be insane for this. My evidence for it, Dillon Danis, Logan Paul build-up, albeit very, very controversial, and things said there that I would not wish on anyone. Going over the line so far, you don't even know where the line is. And well, as of an hour to go, Dillon promoting the fight by photoshopping his face over KSI's father's and saying, "Daddy's home" in the family photo. The fight just got announced today. This time, it has to be proven in the ring. People saw what Dillon could bring in the promo last time with Logan, but then the payoff was such a dud that everyone lost faith, clowned Dillon for it, and drove this entire thing into the ground. So KSI has a massive responsibility here. And with Wayne Bridge pulling out and Dillon Danis stepping in, not a lot of people that have a lot of faith in what KSI is selling, that he can be what he says. I think JJ's got to knock Dillon Danis out. For Dillon Danis, he's got to earn some respect back. by going in and performing. What happens in this fight? I mean, in my opinion, KSI should beat Dillon Danis. Like, this shouldn't be a close fight, and it better not be for the opponent level they've chosen and what KSI has been saying. But that's why they fight, and that's why March 29th will be a very, very interesting night. I know you guys are going to let me know what you think in the comments, but more so than just telling me what you think about the fight, tell me what you think. Does KSI really want to chase Jake Paul and to compare and to be on that level? Because what it's going to take is not what he's been willing to give. If you disagree, let me know down below. What happens March 29th? I don't have those answers. So, guess we'll find out.